everybody, Eric here, Nomadic Fanatic, along with my wonderful camera assistant, Jax the Cat. Hope you all are doing well. A much anticipated and waited for video. Actually, it's been over a year since I originally signed up for my 1,000 Trails membership. And today, I'm going to talk you through everything that I've learned in the past year that you might not be able to find out from an outsider, whether you're considering about going to the Zone Pass that I originally got, or if you're thinking about an upgraded tier. There's a lot of different things to consider, a lot of things I've learned, a lot of helpful information I want to share with you, some funny stuff, some ridiculous stuff, some awesome ways to save money, and at the end I'm going to tell you why I upgraded and how I went about doing that. So let's get started right now. First of all, if you're brand new to the whole 1,000 Trails membership and all that stuff and you just want to get a little brief overview, I will tell you to check out this video first. I'll actually link it in the video description also if you're watching on your computer. There'll be a card up here. You can get a general gist of what it's all about and what the value is. It was actually 1 week after I got my membership in November of 2018. However, I learned so much in that first week, which you'll see in that video, but also you'll be surprised at what I've learned in 14 more months. And also, for clarification, let's talk about exactly where I'm at, because there's a lot of different tiers and memberships. So essentially, I have been on the very bottom of the totem pole. What 1,000 Trails considers a camping pass, or we call it a zone pass. There was a deal going on in November of 2018. You could sign up for $575 for the entire year. And after doing my research, I said, that's a great deal. I'm going to utilize some of these campgrounds. There's no additional cost. So of the, I think, 180 campgrounds all around the United States, you get to stay at any of them for up to 14 days. And it's already included no other cost. Well, I can't say no other cost. More on that later. But it seemed like a really good deal. I pulled the trigger and I started enjoying it right away in Florida. So again, most of the information covered here in the first 3/4 of this video is talking about the Zone Pass or Camping Pass. Not a membership just quite yet. However, about 2 months into my 1,000 Trails membership, I had heard about the Trails Collection, which would add on a few more encore resorts and other kind of premier campgrounds. Has he just been licking himself the whole time? We're gonna have to edit that out, dude. No, it's gonna go on for like an hour. At the time, it was $199 to add these extra ones, and there were so many in Florida. Like there's only 3 normal 1,000 Trails campgrounds in Florida, and then there was like 25 more of the encore ones. So, and I have actually really enjoyed that. I think the price has now gone up, but they are, and you've seen them, they're like premier resorts. Fancy, fancy stuff. Yeah. So since I'm telling you where I started at, let's also talk about the other tiers. So again, $575 for the camping pass. The next tier, the next membership upgrade that you can make is quite a jump steep. At currently $6,900, nearly $7 grand, and then it goes up from there, 10 grand, I think 13 grand. So, however, those are just one-time purchases. It's not that each year. Each year, you're still just going to pay, you know, your $575 or whatever the new annual is. However, those are huge jumps. And why are they so popular? Well, because 1,000 Trails, they have the ability to cap what you get with just your Zone Pass. In other words, they create some limits, as in you can only stay 2 weeks at a 1,000 Trails park, and then you have to leave for 7 full days before you can come back to that one or any other 1,000 Trails park. You also have 60 days in advance to make your reservations, only 60 days. And there's some other things that are probably smaller details, but those are the 2 biggest ones. Whereas the next package up, the Elite package, which I am now a member of, more later at the end of this video, but you actually get 3 weeks at all of the 1,000 Trails, and you can go park to park, which means I stay here for 21 days. On day 22, I can go straight to one of the other 2 remaining 1,000 Trails here in Florida, or any other one in the country. Or I could just pick 2 and go back and forth all year long between those 2, as long as there's an opening. However, obviously there are some restrictions, and you're going to want to look into the fine print, because they got holiday season and they got high capacity season where it actually reduces back down to 2 weeks. So make sure you do your own research. And also, as we get into some of these rules and things I've realized, just remember that I'm not talking about every single campground or resort ever. It's just most of them, or even some of them, or maybe even half of them. But don't worry if I say something you're like, that's not going on here at my 1,000 Trails. Yeah, it's not. I'm not lumping everything into one, but certainly this is going to give you a good general guideline for what to expect as a Thousand Trails member. But consider this, if you're just going to get what I got initially, which was the Zone Pass and then the Thousand Trails, it's $875 annual a year. Okay, you can pay that in payments. You can split that up by the month, or you can pay it in full like I did. It comes out to $73 a month, which, you know, I mean, I know that's a lot of money, but there aren't too many resorts or campgrounds that you can find that are less than $73 a night. So $73 a month is really nothing considering. Or $2.40 a day if you really want to put it down to the exact day. I want to talk about the reservation process real quick, because if you are not a Thousand Trails member, you will notice right off the bat that this is a little different. Different in that when you make your reservation and pay normally for places, you're given a site number. You know exactly where you're going, and they know where you're going and everything. Well, Thousand Trails, you're basically just given a number. To put that into perspective, let's say they have 30 Thousand Trails sites at this one campground. Well, 29 of them are full, and I sign up and it says, yes, you got your reservation. Cool. I become the 30th of 30 available for that day. That doesn't mean I'm the last one to check in or that I necessarily even get the worst site, because at Thousand Trails, the campgrounds, when you come in, you're just going to be going to a site generally, and then you're going to call them back and tell them which site you went to. So oftentimes at the gate, you're just given a map and your little placard that has the date that you check out, and you go figure out where you want to camp and then let them know later. But you also may start to think, Eric, well, you know, isn't there going to be a problem? And yeah, there actually is problems, because you have longer RVs, you know, that are 40 feet diesel pushers versus a truck camper or a van or a toy hauler or all this stuff. And so, you know, if the little truck camper picks the biggest site as possible and then the diesel pusher gets in at 11 p.m., oftentimes there's going to be a little bit of chaos and headlights, maybe even some loud voices or cussing or horns honking. And it can get a little stressful sometimes. I don't think it's a perfect science. However, I just try to show up as early as possible. And when I say that, obviously I mean noon, because most of them check-in time is noon. And especially here in Florida, you cannot get here at 11:59 a.m. They will literally turn you back around. Which is why if you go back out to the main road, which is only like 3 miles from I-4 here, you'll see RVs just pulled off the side of the road. However, right at noon, like, have you ever seen this place on a Friday, on a busy Friday? You will have RVs all the way down the 1 mile driveway of Thousand Trails, then all the way in the right lane of the entire feeder freeway to I-4, sometimes, yes, backing up I-4 to Disney World. It's incredible, but you got to think, this is the biggest one in the country. About 1,000 sites and growing. So if you have even 3/4 of that all checking in on a Friday, we're talking 700 RVs. That's a lot of people. Which brings me to my next point after reservation, is that expect sometimes on high busy weekends or Fridays that it is going to take hours and hours and hours to get checked in. And no, I'm not exaggerating. One time trying to get into this park, I ate my lunch in my RV while waiting in line, and then I ate my dinner in line waiting to get to the gate. And then, of course, you might ask yourself or say, you know, Eric, I thought you said it's real quick. They're not even assigning you a site. They just give you a piece of paper and go. Don't ask me. Sometimes people want to sit there and have a 20, 25-minute conversation, and you're looking out the window, and you see them hanging out the window, and laugh, telling them about their Disney story, and the ranger's sitting there like, yeah, okay, yeah, cool, okay, well, go, oh, is that right? Yeah, cool. All right, can you... Oh, you're going to tell me another story. Okay. It's like, honk, honk, let's go. We're backing up I-4, guys. I don't know. I don't get it. Some of the things I try to stay away from is checking in on a Friday or even a weekend. Try to get there on a Wednesday or Thursday and stay through the weekend or something. There's always a way around it. It's not always that bad either. But you should plan for it, because it has happened to me quite a few times in the past 14 months. Also, going back to the reservation system, don't get discouraged if you can't get the dates you want. If you're looking for 4 specific days, like 60 days out, and you type it in and it says not available, don't stress. Just start reducing the days. Take a day off to make it 3 days. Shave a day off the front to make it 2 days. Heck, try 1 day, and then it says, hey, it's reserved. Okay, cool, I got that 1 day. Now keep checking back 2 times a day, in the morning and the evening, every day up until your reservation date. And guess what? All of a sudden, maybe even 2 days before you check in, all of a sudden the entire 4-day window is going to be open. And you'll do it 1 day in advance. You'll try to change it to 2 days, and it'll say, yes, approved. And you go, whoa, cool. Add a 3rd day, approved. Add my 4th day, approved. Good to go, just like that. Well, why does that happen, Eric? Well, actually, Thousand Trails is really lenient, and I want to be careful how I say this, but there's no penalty to cancel days. I mean, you can cancel right up until the minute before you check in. You can book an entire 3 weeks, check in on your first day, and then just cancel your reservation after night 2, opening up essentially 20 more days to whoever wants it, with no penalty at all. And I don't really like that, and honestly, you'll actually see some YouTubers out there really telling you that you should do that. Like, I always book 3 weeks, even if I know I'm only going to stay there 2 days. I just book 3 weeks anyway, and I just cancel or leave early. Doesn't do anything. Problem is, it does affect people, because other people can't get the days that you had no intention of being there. And it doesn't help them, usually, that you cancel at the last minute, because, believe me, they already had to make other plans and go somewhere else because you were being selfish. So I always tell Thousand Trails member, only book what you need. Never book the max at every single stay for no reason. This doesn't make sense. That's kind of mean to everybody else in the system, you know. But because that happens, that's why as we get closer to your reservation date, you will be able to expand that if you choose to. Yeah. I gotta be careful and not just always be negative all the time, because there's a lot of pros. I mean, it's a great value being a Thousand Trails member. Here's another thing to consider. When I was in Pigeon Forge the week of Christmas, the week before Christmas last year, there was no Thousand Trails nearby there in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So I had to fork over $700 for 6 nights at the KOA there. $700 for just 6 nights, compared to $575 for, I don't know how many days out of the year you get for that. A lot more than 6, right? So don't count Thousand Trails out just because it seems like a lot of money, when it's comparable to places that you're going to spend the entire annual cost of the membership in just a couple nights. But look at that map first, because Thousand Trails, if you'll notice, they're like, it's almost like a horseshoe around the edges of the country. It doesn't come too far inland right now, except with a few exceptions. But, you know, seriously, if you live in the middle of the country and you don't do a lot of camping to the outcoast or the edges of the country, it may not work for you. It may not be the best thing for you. You may want to look at something different. And nobody really wants to travel the route of Thousand Trails, so there's often times, and like last year when I did Route 66 for a little bit there's going to be whole 6 months of periods where I don't use a single Thousand Trails that entire time because there aren't any on my route. I don't want to plan my life around Thousand Trails, but when I get to one, it's sure nice to be able to just kind of sit it out. Like right now, what we're all going through, and I'm just kind of stuck. Well, hey, I sure am thankful I have it, because where would I be right now without this? I don't know. Some other things that you're going to want to just kind of be prepared for. Again, don't count this on every single park, but the $5 laundry card. Yeah, many. How many do I have? I have 19 different $5 pieces of plastic. Essentially, you go into the laundry room, and it's, instead of putting quarters or dollar bills or your card in there, like your debit card, no. You have to buy their $5 piece of plastic, and then you have to load money onto the card, okay? So you might think, well, that's no biggie, Eric. I'm sure you can just use the card at the next place. And then you look at, okay, well, let's put some money on it. I know I need the washer, dryer, $6. Oh, only increments of 5? Well, I guess I'll just put $10 on the card, and I'll use the other 4 at the next park. How many pieces of plastic do you think I have in a bin sitting up here? Sorry. I have 19 of them. How many times do you think I've reused one of those cards? 0 times. They are always different. Obviously, unless you go back to that park, which is why I have $100 worth of plastic cards in that bin up there. Because eventually I'm going to get a repeat. I won't know which one. I should be writing them down on a piece of tape on the back. But I'll just go in there with all these cards. Just keep trying until it works. But hey, you gotta understand, for some reason, not here at the Orlando park, I should mention, but at many parks, you do have to buy that stupid laundry card, which I don't like. They have the technology to allow you to use a debit card. Why only make it this charged piece of plastic? I don't know. And we gotta talk about the $5 package rule, which again, not at this park in Orlando, but more than 75% of the ones I visited in the last 14 months, you gotta pay Thousand Trails $5 to get your package. Or you can just not have packages sent to Thousand Trails and it won't stress you out, maybe. Yeah. There's also a $12 golf cart permit that you have to buy, both at the last place I was at in Texas and here in Orlando. I don't... Some of these, you're going to start thinking, wow, they really nickel and dime their members at Thousand Trails, don't they? Yeah, they kind of do. I'm sorry that, you know, Thousand Trails has to take responsibility for that because they're the ones who charge these things, okay? So yeah, here, you have to buy a $12 permit to ride your golf cart around. You don't have to do it for your motorcycle or your car or your bicycle, but golf carts, $12, okay? And fishing licenses. And yes, they use the term fishing license. Even though your actual fishing license from that state is 100% valid, they say you have to buy a Thousand Trails daily fishing license for $5. This is Thousand Trails taking advantage of the system because they are not a government entity. You cannot call it a fishing license. You can call it a fishing fee, but you know, it's not a fishing license because by law, many people have the actual fishing license that is valid. You're just saying that you won't honor it until they buy your piece of paper that you call a fishing license. So don't think that just because you bought a fishing license at Walmart that you're going to be able to fish at Thousand Trails. A couple more things about parking here. I do apologize for the length of this video. I got lots of stuff to cover though, guys. Because it is a first come, first served basis, again, some of the sites will be much different in the same loop. I'm not even talking about different campgrounds or different loops, but in the same loop, you'll have some sites that are 30 amp, some that are 50, some that are both. Some have water, some water's been turned off, or just doesn't have water. Some don't have sewer, so you got to go to the dump station every 7 days. So definitely plan on taking your time when it's time to come check in. Don't just grab the first site. Maybe even park somewhere near the clubhouse or the laundry facility and walk around and scope it out and just kind of see what you want to do and what's the best, or ride your bike or something and test it out, because you will see a lot of difference. Some Thousand Trails also don't allow a 50 amp rig to park in a 30 amp rig. That's true. Some, in Texas especially, will not let you use your little 30 amp to 50 amp dongle adapter, you know, even though you don't need 50 amp. They actually make you go to the 50 amp sites first sometimes, which I understand. However, oh yeah, there's a $3 upcharge per night to upgrade to a 50 amp site. Yeah, but you forced me to go here. Like, I didn't even want the 50 amp. I'm fine with 30 because I'm not going to be running 2 air conditioners and a microwave all day. Well, sorry, you have to go to 50 amp, and let's see, 6 nights, that'll be $18 extra. Thanks, Thousand Trails. You know, and this one I'm just going to let you know ahead of time. You might get some phone calls and some emails from Thousand Trails membership specialist every single time you go to a Thousand Trails. In fact, as soon as you check in, you'll probably get a really friendly phone call or even maybe a couple emails telling you about some specials with the upgrade packages. If you're not interested in it, just be solid and firm and say, please don't call me. Please don't call me every day and ask me. I'm not interested. If you are interested, like I was a few days ago, in fact, then maybe they'll sit down with you and tell you some of the perks and tell you maybe they can get you a good deal or something like that. But just expect it, because your phone number and your email are on file, and they're going to have access to that when you check in. Now this one is particularly important for Zone Pass members, Camping Pass members. It's not that you can only have one holiday stay with Thousand Trails, but you can only have one holiday reservation on the books at a time. So let's just take Thanksgiving and Christmas, for example. If you had your Thanksgiving reservation over that time, whatever, November 27th, you can't then make a Christmas reservation for another place. However, as soon as you check in to your Thanksgiving one on the 27th and it's active, you can then add another holiday Christmas reservation. You just can't have 2 going at the same time. I never had a problem with that. You know, you guys remember, I did Memorial Day, I did 4th of July, I did Labor Day, I think I did Thanksgiving even, and Christmas in Florida, that's right. So I got everything I wanted to. You just can't have more than one reservation at a time. And 60 days out, it's kind of hard to do. It doesn't really come into effect until you start reserving 4 or 6 months out into the future, right? Another interesting thing I have discovered at Thousand Trails is that the water gets turned off an awful lot. Not like maintenance-wise, although they do have to fix it from time to time. But the reason why it gets turned off so often for me on the road that I've noticed is that people are running into the water spigots, backing up into them. And to put this into perspective, I think this happened like 12 or 13 times in 14 months during my stays, which is a lot. 4 times it happened right next to me. In fact, on Patreon, I even filmed and shared 3 of those 4 times on video. One of them looked like this, but... And I don't want to generalize. However, I'm going to talk about 4 facts. Of the 4 times it happened right next to me at different parks, all 4 times they were elderly males that were traveling alone. And that's just a fact. It almost seems like, in a way, some people aren't taking enough time to really evaluate what's back there, or they're putting too much trust in their camera, and you can't see that small little silver half-inch pipe where the water's at, even if you can see the big metal electric box. So maybe take your time when you're backing up. If you're not sure where it is, if you don't see it on your rear view camera or your mirrors, put it in park, go outside, look again, make sure you know where it's at and all that. But the point here I'm trying to make is, when you get to 1,000 Trails, make sure one of the first thing you do is put some water in your fresh water holding tank. Fill it halfway full. Because, as the facts would say, half the time, every time you stay somewhere for 2 weeks, 50% chance the water is going to be turned off unexpectedly. And that can mess up, the night you wanted to have a shower before you got to eat, or the cooking inside the RV, or flushing the toilet, like all that stuff. So, just always have a little bit of water on hand and expect the water to go out unexpectedly. Now, even though it's not directly related to 1,000 Trails, as we get into the Trails Collection Package add-on that I love so much, we got to talk about the dreaded age-qualified resorts. A lot of people don't like this one, and okay, well, let's make an example here. In Arizona, if you had the Southwest Zone and you had the Trails Collection Package, there are 21 Encore resorts in Arizona. Well, even though I pay just as much as anybody else, do you know how many of those 21 I can even go to? Just one. There's only one that I can go to that's not 55 and older resort. That's kind of weird. Definitely something they won't tell you when you're signing up. You can't get that information until you become a member. And so I think I shared that in my first video as well, but something to consider. I mean, it's not a deal breaker. There's lots of them over in California, which is part of the same zone. Plus, I mean, Arizona's well known for BLM land and boondocking out in the desert. So, I mean, find out if that's important to you. Also, I'd say pick your zones wisely. Obviously, your first zone is going to be where you live, where your RV is registered. And then I added 2 zones, so those are $50 a piece. I think they still are. So I'm paying an extra $100 right now for 3 zones. And I was also able to switch my zones. I switched my zone from the northwest to the northeast. Although it was a little bit of a pain to do, the contract does say that you are allowed to do that once a year, change your zones. I think they want you to just buy the other 4 zones so that you have all 5 zones, but that's an extra $200 a year added to that. So if you're not going to use every single zone in that year, it doesn't make sense to buy them all. But just know that you do have that right to change them once a year if you choose to. Hey, we're almost done here, guys. I know I had a bunch of stuff to talk about, but we're almost through this. But you should probably be aware that it is difficult to get a site in a campground in the Northwest in the summertime. Definitely in the Northwest. I don't know about the Northeast, but I would imagine it's just as hard. Very similar to snowbirding in the winter in the South. So Southern California, Arizona, Texas, the Florida resorts, as I showed. I did get all the ones I wanted to, except for the one in the Keys. But just understand it is going to be tricky. We only have that 60-day window, so that's when some of these other perks, like the 4 months out or the 6 months out, might be a better option for you if it's really important to make sure that you get 1,000 Trails for it. You can also call ahead to the 1,000 Trails to make sure things are open if those things are important to you. Obviously, right now, everywhere in the country, everything is shut down at 1,000 Trails except the bathroom and the mailroom. Everything's shut down, so it doesn't matter. But to put that into perspective, on my birthday, on June 5th of last year, I booked the Chehalis 1,000 Trails, which is the very first 1,000 Trails ever established. And I looked at their online thing, and it told me what they have. Oftentimes, if like the pool's under renovation, it'll have a little asterisk there and let you know it's closed from June 1st to June 30th. Or the clubhouse. They usually keep pretty good up to date. But the reason why I don't trust it anymore is because when I checked in with my friends on June 4th, after I checked in and got my information and I was getting ready to drive away, the guy stopped me and said, oh, by the way, everything's closed here. But all 3 pools, the hot tub, the game room, the fitness center, the clubhouse is closed. He was listing off every single amenity that the campground, the laundry room was closed. Everything, and I put it back into reverse and came back and said, excuse me? Everything's closed? Yeah, we got all the deals worked out for the renovations for everything. We're working on a bunch of stuff. Give it a couple weeks and everything will be back open. I'm like, bro, it's my birthday and I've got 3 cars behind me of friends that are gonna... I don't usually camp with other people, but during that we were really going to use the pool and some of the other, like the pool table and just all the game room and stuff, and it just wasn't available, and I was bummed. And what I learned, so this is the point of the story, what I learned is that if it's important enough and it's your family's really important vacation, before you make your reservation, call the number that's listed on there and say, hey, on June 5th, is anything going to be closed? Is there anything expected? And they'll be honest with you over the phone. They don't always update the online stuff, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So now we got to talk about what I have done. I have made a huge change here, and I made it here in Orlando, which is ironically where I started with Thousand Trails, in Orlando. And I got an email from a gentleman, David, here, who wanted to talk to me about some of his specials. Of course, I had heard the spiel before. I had heard about it, and I always thought there was no way that I would ever change. Well, guess what? I'm now an elite member of Thousand Trails. Yes, I got a special on it, $1,000 off. It was $6,000, and some of the instant perks that I am using already are the 3-week stays and park to park. You do not have to be out for 7 days. I also have the 4-month reservation window, which is crazy to think that I'm already making reservations for the summer when I don't know what the state of the economy is right now, or if I'm even going to even be able to physically travel. But hey, at least I'm getting all the reservations I wanted. There are a ton of perks. There are week stays at the cabins, the getaway cabins. There's also the introduction of the RPI parks, which, remember how I talked about the horseshoe around the outside? Well, now we get to fill it in with all these middle parks and stuff. It's cheap. It's like, I think, $10 to $15 a night to stay at the RPI ones, which is a great deal for ones that usually cost $60 to $75. You know, they're like KOA-style campground resorts with all the amenities. You know, there's a bunch of perks that come with that, and this is brand new, so I'm actually not talking about it. I mean, I'm sharing the information with you, but I need some time. As a matter of fact, I need a full year to decide how much I like my membership. It's a lot of money, but they finance it. So I'm paying an extra $114 a month right now. Even though I paid my other one in full, I'm paying off the new Thousand Trails membership. And so far, I'm happy with it. I don't have any regrets. I had been thinking about it, but like I said a year ago, I would never even consider it. I'll never consider upgrading my membership. Hey, guess what, Eric? Things change. Look at this big RV you bought. I mean, things change. Things change quick, too. So in summary, I think Thousand Trails is a fantastic value. I think it has its quirks. I think you'll love it as much as I love it, which is also kind of a trick comment because there's parts of it that just makes me it's like, really though? Like, the nickel and diming thing it's kind of pitiful and embarrassing. But because they do it to everyone, it's like we all just, okay, we get in line and we give them their money and we do what they say. Maybe what I should have done is added in all the factors of the laundry card and the packages and everything and said, here's what the membership really costs. But all you need to know is there are some surprise costs, which I think I have covered in this video, and I've given you some information to help you plan. I personally am not being paid by Thousand Trails. I pay everything with my own money that I work for here on YouTube, and I can still sit here and say I think it's a good company. They're really taking care of their members here at the Florida resort. I can't say the same for other places, but they're also dealing with individual state and city county ordinances. They're fighting with that right now. I don't think it's really their fault. I don't think they should be kicking out elderly people that live at these places in Pennsylvania and Oregon, but it's not my call. I am still a Thousand Trails fanboy. I love it. I think you might like it if you could use it and get your money back out of it. It could be something that you really enjoy for you and your family, or just for recreation in the summertime. That's the other thing, is if you're just going to use it in the summertime when the kids are out of school, you can easily pay back that money, and who cares if you don't use it in fall and winter and spring, you know what I mean? So hope this is a helpful video. If you have any questions for me, if I missed something, if I messed up something, please put it in there. I'll give it a couple days to kind of settle, and maybe I'll add a new comment and kind of pin that at the top so that I'm not broadcasting misinformation, because it does happen sometimes. It's not on purpose. I do a lot of research, and I share what's going on with me, but sometimes I forget to really be honest about, if I say it's 50% of the time, well, what if it's really 40%, Eric? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Did Jax really sleep through this whole thing? Well, no, he licked himself for the first third of it, and now you're just adorable, man. You ready to wake up? You're not ready? Okay. Okay, man. Oh, I have two last points I almost forgot. If you are considering getting 1,000 Trails, because I have been sharing all of my wonderful experiences about it, and even if you're just looking at the Zone Pass, Camping Pass, or into one of the upper tier memberships like the Elite package that I now have, definitely get in touch with David Brown. He is a membership specialist here at the Orlando location. I'll put his email and phone number on the screen there for you. Make sure you tell him Eric Jacobs sent you. He'll know me, and I'll get a little bit of a referral discount on my membership, so that'll help both of us. You're going to be able to get a good deal if you tell him that I sent you over there. And the financing option with a small down payment is a great way to get this started right now. But because I'm not a 1,000 Trails representative or anything, I want to give you a little bit more options. If you're looking to save possibly up to half the price of a membership, you can also get some really good information on a used membership and literally pay half the price. And I can hook you up. I know somebody. Talk to Kimberly Hole over here at Campground Membership Outlet. She has helped a lot of people. She has helped a lot of people get some really good deals on the memberships that are eligible to transfer to someone else. And like I said, they're legit. You still got to take that in with the person to 1,000 Trails office, pay a small fee to make sure that the transfer goes successful. But it's legit. I'll put Kimberly's information up here too if you want to call her or email her and see if she can help you get what you want. And again, let her know Eric Jacobs, Nomadic Fanatic, sent you over. And let me know in the comments, again, if there's any changes, things, or anything I missed, or your experience with 1,000 Trails as well. Thanks, guys, for watching my video. Jax and I will see ya next time. Bye-bye.